Hi, Stampers. It's Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Let's put a stop to that echo. How about that? I don't know where that's coming from. Okay, that should have improved my sound. I apologize, I'm running a little bit late. I was over there at the window taking pictures and noticed this huge spider outside and a web and then a nest that went in it. I'm like, no, that's got to go. And I wasn't sure he was going to be there after I was done with live, so I had to go out and kill the spider first. But welcome. Welcome, Beth. I'm excited. This is your first live. Make sure you type in #Prize Patrol. That's how you win a chance at getting today's card in the mail, especially for you. I did have several people place an order, and they will also be getting a card from last week, even though they didn't win Prize Patrol for placing an order, they still get a card. So they will get the one we did last week, which was this cute front pocket fold. So today we're working with the same stamp set. We're working with the Hello Harvest, and we're not using the dies this time. We're just using the stamp set, and we're going to do the masking technique. It does have some fantastic dies that go with it, and they even do embossing as well as cutting. And I take that back. I did use it for one thing. I used it to die cut out my masking paper, because when I wanted to use our masking paper from Stampin' Up, I went ahead and stamped on it. There's one side that has the peel. I guess it's cracked down the middle. You want to stamp on the other side. You want to stamp on the paper side. And then I went ahead and die cut it out. So that's going to be my mask for today's card. The masking paper is in our annual book. So hopefully you have a copy of our annual catalog. This just went live in June. And on the 1st of the month, which is like right around the corner, we're releasing this catalog, and that's where this Hello Harvest stamp set came from. And there's also going to be celebrations. So if you don't have your copy of that yet, let me know. I still have, I think there's 10 or 12 over there on my desk that I'm still mailing out. But if you didn't get yours yet, check with me to make sure you're in that pile, because I want everyone who places orders with me to have their copy of the catalog, because it's just so much more fun printed. So if you're out there, make sure you type in #Prize Patrol. And let's get started. We're going to make today's cards, and then we're also going to do our drawing at the end. Hopefully more people join us. This is a pretty simple card based on most of the cards I make, but we're using a technique called masking. It's going to mask off our label so we can stamp the flowers in the background. Some people seemed concerned that we were already ordering out of our fall catalog, because this looks very fall. And when I stamp that in fall colors, yeah, we've got sunflowers, we've got some fall leaves. It can look very fall. But you know what today is? Today is National Pink Day. And so for National Pink Day, I made more of a summer spring card. And so we're going to be doing this one as well. This one, I colored the background with our Stampin' Blends. This one, we brushed over it with the blending brushes. So for both cards, it's the same. We're going to start out with all the same measurements. So the card base, of course, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have another piece that's going to go top. It's 4 by 5 1/4. And then this one is 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. That doesn't sound right. Nope, that's the inside one. Got a new one of those. Gotta have a mistake in every video, right? Okay, 3 inches by 3 3/4. That's going to be our back piece. Then the one that goes on top, that's the one that's 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. So they will mat one on top of each other. So I'll find a soft seafoam is this color. This one's Blushing Bride. And again, I used the fall paper. which, you know, it has fall designs on the back. There's pumpkins and there's dahlias and, you know, some Cajun craze. But on the other side, they're all black and white. So we can make black and white whatever color we want, right? And then I brought in my stamps. I have that one and I have this one. So we're going to go ahead and stamp onto our basic white. And let's go ahead and do both of them since we're already doing the masking. And like I said, I stamped this stamp onto our masking paper on the paper side, and then I die cut it out. All right, because I just die cut it. I didn't even stamp it. If I had stamped it, you could have trimmed a little closer to the top, which might have been a good idea, so that it masked exactly, because the dies tend to give it a little bit of a border around it, and you probably want it as close as possible. Another thing I did is the masking paper is very sticky when you start working with it. So I went ahead and I like stuck it to my shirt, you know, and I stuck it places so that it wasn't quite as sticky on the back, because the very first time I used it, when I went to peel it off, it peeled the paper, and we don't want it to do that. It's just masking. We want it to be like Post-it note sticky. Because if you've watched me in the past, that's what we've used before, is Post-it notes. And Post-it notes work great, especially for what we're doing now, because it's just going to be the top. But if there's something where maybe you want to blend all the way around it and you want to get all the edges, this sticks all the way across. So that's beneficial for that. Because we're working with Stampin' Blends, I'm using a dye-based ink. So I'm using Memento. You can also use any of our colors, because the Stampin' Up! Regular ink pads are all dye-based. And then if you wanted to do watercolor, say, then you wanted to stamp in alcohol-based ink, because we go with opposites. And the alcohol-based ink for stamping is StazOn. So if you're going to watercolor, you want StazOn. If we're going to use Stampin' Blends, we want Memento. And then, like I said, we're going to take our mask and we're going to lay it right over the top. And then we're going to ink up this one. So whatever you want to be in the foreground, that's what's stamped first. Then we cover it up. And then we're going to stamp part 2. And then we're going to peel off our mask. See, this is where I was saying that maybe you want to trim it with scissors, because you can see my border from my die. We want it pretty much exactly on the line. So there we go. We have one for each card. For the background on our pink one, I'm going to go ahead and blend that one. I did the coloring on our leaves for our green one, and I did this with all of our Stampin' Blends. Hi, Mary. Yeah, I know you want to copy the new catalog. I have it. I was actually going to call you and see if you were coming to class, because I have stacks of them here in my office. Maybe I'll have to drop one off to you this weekend if I can get out of the house. Okay, so I need my blending brush and I need pink. So I'm using Blushing Bride. And I'm going to take my blending brush and I kind of put my finger on the top because I want some stability with it. And then I'm just going to roll onto this. So I'm swirling. And usually when I get started, I start kind of off here, because if it's going to make a a bold mark. I don't want it to be necessarily on what I'm blending, especially when I'm blending on basic white. I don't want to see my swirls. I just want the color to be there. And I don't have to go all the way into the middle because we're going to be covering that up with our top layers. Okay, you might also notice that I had used our new corner rounder. This is a new thing also coming out in that new catalog. And it's one of our trio punches. And one of the most frequently, misthought things about these, or misconceptions, I guess, is to punch down on a corner. That if I want this corner, I'm punching on that corner. That's not how this works. What we want to do is put it into the corner that we want. We're going to flush it up to these little ridges on either side. You can also check from the back to make sure you can see it from back there if you're worried. But we're going to just punch down on the whole thing. Just punch straight down from the center. And that's going to get us our corners. So I'm going to do that with both layers. All right. See how quickly this is all coming together? Let me recut that piece so it's the right size. Nope, much smaller. So I want 3 by 375. Right? Sorry, I guess my spider threw me off more than I thought today. There we go. Now I've got my edges. And we can use this other piece. I'll just show you what the other two corners do. So that one's going to cut just at an angle. And this one goes in flush this way. And so what it would allow you to do is put a topper or a hole for a tag maybe. Or maybe if you had a series of them, you could run ribbon in and out. There's several things you can do with that. But I'm going to try not to get down a rabbit hole because we still have some coloring to do. Okay, there's that. And let's bring in some blends. Let's have Old Olive Here's soft seafoam, which is this color here. And you know, and I actually reached back into the archives and we don't have Blushing Bride Stampin' blends. So in my drawer, I had Pink Pirouette and Rococo Rose because, I mean, I should have done this in purples or reds, or, I mean, it could be any colors, but today is National Pink Day. So it just kind of had to be pink. But I digress. Again, I start talking on something and I get all down that rabbit hole. Okay, when we're coloring the banner, we kind of want to watch where it's going to be shaded. A lot of times our artist will give us those extra lines just because they darken up the image. But you also want to think about what way the sun is coming in and how shadows are going to fall. So we know since this is underneath, it's going to be a little darker under here because it's shaded by the top. And so I'm laying dark color down there. This is our soft seafoam dark. But then we're going to go over it with the light. And I tend to do small circles over the line where we are coloring to blend it, because it's being good and wet is what allows it to blend. And don't be afraid that you have to keep the colors separate. We don't. That's the whole purpose. We color one right over the top of the other. Okay. So there's that one. Let's see. I guess we could do different colors. Let's see. A yellow center. Let's take our green and pick out some leaves. I'm not putting my bifocals on camera, so I hope I'm staying in the lines. Okay, I think that's it with those leaves. Let's come in with a little purple flower up here. A few more leaves. Whoa, this is Poppy Parade. I was thinking it was going to be more red. Kind of pinky. But I was trying to dig for a summer color for flowers. Because again, the last one I did fall, but don't let this stamp set fool you. It doesn't have to be just fall. We can use it all year. And we can either color these things or we can make them cotton. On my other one, you can see we did this Monday too, where I dabbed on there with a little bit of the snowfall puff paint and then heated it with our heat tool. And so when you pick it up, you know, okay, you can, if you want to mix it up because it's been sitting for a long time, that's good, but don't shake it too much because we don't want bubbles. But we're going to turn it over and just put a daub. Warning, the first one's always usually kind of heavy. And then this is where those new tweezers come in. I don't know if you've seen me work with the heat embossing yet, but in our new catalog, we also have new tools for heat embossing. And one of them are these tweezers, which are kind of a plastic on the end. They hold up to heat well, but they won't leave a mark. When I use my other tweezers, they leave a black mark wherever they were. These ones don't. So let me bring in my heat tool. So if I try to focus here, can you see how that puffed up to look like cotton? Okay, this one's ready to go onto our card. I'm going to go ahead and put the adhesive on this side because I don't really want to turn this upside down on my table yet because it'll flatten out my puff, and I don't want it to do that. And then I'm going to grab some dimensionals and we'll pop this layer up. So this one's a little more summer because I've got my pinky red in there and all of my leaves are green. But in a few months, we'll be working with sunflowers and fall leaves. So there's those two. I also chose to color in this stuff back here, and I just went over it with straight lines. In this one, I tried to puff them up to look like, I don't know, lilacs or something. And so I made it a little more rounded. I don't know, not sure. But that was the one we did here. So let's quickly finish this one up. What's everybody working on now? I've got a graphic I made up. I wanted to ask you guys, are you guys working on more birthday, thank you, just thinking of you? What kind of cards are you guys working on? I find I send the most thank yous, probably hazards of my business. And because of the way I was brought up. I had an aunt and uncle that if you didn't send a specific thank you note that even mentioned the gift, the next holiday you didn't get anything. So it was drilled into me early. And I tried to do that with my kids. We still live in a generation where they're more texting, but I like the handmade card. Okay, let's see. I did the banner with the pink pirouette. And this looks very Blushing Bride. Maybe as it sat and aged, it got a little darker. Because I think it matches pretty good. I try to use mostly current when I can. We don't have a current pink and I'm crazy about. I mean, there's our in color pink, but I like powder pinks and baby pinks, and we don't have one of those right now. So I'm hoping that they do a color refresh soon. It's my thought that sometime soon they're going to refresh our colors. It's usually every 5-6 years they decide to dig in and make sure that, you know, we're selling colors that people want, because, you know, times change and different things are, I don't know, in style, I guess I want to say. I've never been in style, but hi, Lori. So look for a color change soon. So if there's colors that you like, you want to make sure that you have the ink refills and all the paper you want. You know, I'm not going to swear it's going to happen next year. I have this feeling, because the last time they did it was 2018. And, you know, that was several years ago. So maybe because of the pandemic, they're holding off. But under normal circumstances, we would be due for a color refresh. And I don't like things just like that to surprise me. So I'm not saying it's absolutely going to happen. I'm just saying be prepared, because it might. And there's a few in colors that we lost that I wouldn't mind seeing come back. So I'm kind of okay with it. I'm just worried about what colors they're going to take away. My guess is they would be the ones that are selling the least. Because if people aren't buying them, they're thinking people don't like them. Okay. Dimensionals. So this card's not as complicated as, you know, I don't want to say complicated, but it's not as fancy as most of the ones I do. But sometimes we just need to know a technique. And I didn't want the fancy fold of the card to bury our technique, which was masking. So here's our cards. Like I said, when masking, you want to use our Stampin' Up! Masking paper. This one I just die cut out because there happened to be a coordinating die. Normally I will stamp on it and fussy cut it out. And then I stamped our banner and then covered it up and then stamped our sprig of flowers. So the bottom part of the flowers caught the masking paper, leaving our banner nice and clean, making it appear that it's coming from the front. Because it's a fall set, I used fall colors, and because it's National Pink Day, I used pink. So as everybody put in hashtag prize patrol to make sure that you are in on that drawing. And I also have some cards I'm working on to show you. If you place an order during the month, you know that I usually give away a customer appreciation PDF. So here's a sneak peek at 3 of the cards that will be in that. So there's a couple fancy folds. So if you want to know how to do these, place an order in July and you will get all the written tutorials for those. And Let's see, where'd it go? I had next week's card. Here we go. So this is next week's card. We're going to do this. I've done this once before where we folded these corners and they came in. This time it's just the piece of paper cut in half or diagonally. And then, of course, I have to pull some sentiment or something to put on the middle. It's not quite finished, but I try to give you guys tips on what's upcoming because you guys asked. And I'm usually not that organized, but I tried to be today. I've been pretty good lately. I've got most of my cards designed for next week, and the cards that we're working on my blog and on YouTube's, those are going to be my in-person classes as well. So we're kind of a couple weeks behind in in-person classes, but if they're not exactly the same, they're very similar. Okay, we're ready for Prize Patrol. Has everybody got theirs entered? I only have 3 entries, and I see 6 of you on. So this is your last chance to type in hashtag Prize Patrol if you're live, because we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel because our cards are finished. So here we go. So Beth McKinney is our winner of Prize Patrol. So Beth, that's exciting. Your first class to watch live and you won. Congratulations. To make sure that I have your mailing address, please go over to queenbeecreations.net/prize patrol and fill that in so I can mail you your card, and let me know if you are in need of our new catalogs because I have those ready to go as well. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here, and we will be back next Monday at 2:30 for another live making yet another card. Thanks for joining me. Bye.